All right. Well, we got some things to talk about, and you could tell by the title. There's still some areas that we need to address. So let's jump into this. What is up, Fin fans? So, Miami Dolphins have made a few moves. They've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. About 13 moves so far. 2 days of tampering, 1 day of start of free agency. Made a few moves. There's about, to me, 3 areas they need to address and then go into the draft, and they can do whatever the flip they want. And I'm A-okay with that. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to get on Chris Greer a little bit. I'm going to get on the Dolphins a little bit because one of the areas they need to address, they're dragging their feet, and it's really bothering me. So we're going to talk about that. But first and foremost, I have to shout out a new patron and some new members on the Patreon side. Schnaggy, thank you so much for joining the Patreon. I am going to start doing, like I said, Patreon and membership-specific videos that you will get for being a part of the Patreon and for being part of the membership. Also, I think I'm going to start doing membership and Patreon live streams and stuff like that, just to give you guys more of a thank you and give you guys more content for helping the channel as much as you guys are, the patrons and the members. And on the Patreon side, we have Dan Billings. We have Tolusunu. Dyslexia, you got to love it. I can't read if my life depended on it. Tolucinema? Tolucin? I apologize. Alex Adam, John Kateris, and Differently Able. Thank you guys so much for becoming members. It really means a lot to me. And it really means a lot to me to become Patreons. But it means more if you hit the subscribe button. And more specifically, if you guys notice, I never beg for subs or beg for thumbs up or beg. I want you guys to comment below. I want to hear from you guys. I want to learn from you guys. I want to make this channel better for you guys. So if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, lets me know. More importantly, comment below. So, yesterday, one of the last things the Dolphins did before kind of they ended their days, they re-signed Nick Needham to a 1 year, just under $2 million contract. I'm very happy about that move. To me, and it sucks because I felt the same way last year about this area of the team, but to me, the secondary is so good. You added, it's the same secondary, but you added one of the best corners in the league in Jalen Ramsey, right? So I'm like, I'm set. Because to me, it was so good with Byron, and then Byron didn't play. And now you add someone that's better than Byron, so I'm like, I'm good. You got Jalen Ramsey, you got Xavier Howard, you got Nick Needham, you got Trill Williams, you got Cater Kohu. I'm good. I really like that. And then you got the safeties. Yes, bringing in Deshaun Elliott isn't what I really wanted, but I'm going to give it a chance and see what Vic Fangio can do in that situation, right? But I'm going to go over who we've brought in and the areas of need that we still have, right? So the free agents we brought in: Deshaun Elliott, safety; David Long Jr., linebacker; Eric Sorbert, tight end; Jalen Ramsey, obviously the corner. And then we claimed Freddie Swan, wide receiver from Denver, and obviously Mike White. So that is 6. And the re-signings: Jeff Wilson, Savon Ahmed, Raheem Mostert, Myles Gaskin, the entire running back group, Nick Needham, Kendall Lamb, Duke Riley. And I think we brought back another offensive lineman, but it's 7 re-signed, 6 free agents. And let me get into areas of needs, and then I'm going to get into my little spiel, my little rant about so far. And again, it's been day 1 of free agency. I understand that. But I see a trend. And I've seen a trend. So I want to talk about that, right? But let me real quick before we get into, all that stuff. Let me give you some numbers real quick. Miami Dolphins right now are sitting right here. They have $15.2 million. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16th in the NFL at 15 mil. Bills down here at 6. Jets here at 11. Still haven't done the Aaron Rodgers move. And then you have the New England Patriots are... Where's the Patriots? Looking for the blue... Right here, $28 million. You can still make moves. They just haven't. And I'm hearing Mike Gesicki is drawing interest from the Patriots. That worries me. But there's that, right? So that's where we're sitting at cap space, around $15 million. This is where the Dolphins still have areas that they need to address. Offensive line, that has to be the most one of them all, right? The Dolphins need to address the offensive line, and not necessarily left guard, right? Liam Eichenberg or Robert Jones, I'm fine with them at left guard. Tackle. These are the tackles the Miami Dolphins have on the roster right now. They have Austin Jackson, Kendall Lamb, Keon Smith, and Teron Armstead. Besides Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson, Kendall Lamb, and Keon Smith, do you feel any sense of security with the tackles that the Miami Dolphins have right now? And I understand. You guys I'm not getting to my spiel. I understand. It's day one. You listen to me early day two. I understand. They need to address the offensive line. And I'll get more into that in my spiel. Tight end. Tanner Connor, Durham Smythe, and now we have Eric Sorbert. We need to address the tight end. I would like to go out and get a legit tight end. Eric Sorbert, I'm hearing good things. I'm hearing he's good blockers, kind of like we have two Durham Smythes. We need to get a tight end. We need to get that pass-catching tight end. We need to get that Greg Little type tight end that we can run in this offense. So we need to go out. We need to get a tight end. Linebacker. Hey, Doug, but we got David Long Jr. I understand that. But our middle linebackers are Channing Tindall, Jerome Baker, David Long, and Duke Riley. And I'm hearing that Bobby Wagner's, getting interest from Seattle, and I think I heard the Patriots. There's still some good linebackers out there that the Dolphins, I want to add two. That was our biggest problem, is linebackers and making tackles and stuff like that. So to me, linebacker, and I know they're not gonna, but running back. You're literally running it back with the same running backs. And I just saw Jamal Williams sign with the Saints. He signed a 3-year, $12 million contract, $8 million guaranteed. Like, he's probably getting like $2 million this year. And Jamal Williams last year had 17 touchdowns, 1,000 yards with the Detroit Lions. 262 attempts, 1,066 yards, 4.1 yards a carry, 17 touchdowns. And he signed a 3-year deal, $12 million, $8 million guaranteed. And the Dolphins are like, we're gonna stick with the same 4 we did last year. All right, we'll see how that pans out. Now, again, I understand that it is day one, now beginning of day 2 of free agency, but Chris Grier has this mentality about running backs and offensive line that I hate, right? And especially offensive line, right? I do not feel comfortable with the right tackle position on this Miami Dolphins team. Tua Tagovailoa had 2 major concussions. Granted, and I'll say this, both of those concussions was not the offensive line's fault. Both of those concussions were his fault, holding the ball too long both times. That being said, it doesn't take away from the fact that the offensive line was 22nd ranked in the NFL last year. Gave up 25% pressure, which was one of the top. 63 hits, one of the top. Time to throw, 2.52 seconds. That's average, but Tua's was in the was like 251, 250, which is 34th ranked in the NFL, and Hurry's at 61, which was number 1 in the NFL. The offensive line wasn't that good last year. So if you're going to sit here and tell me, literally out of Chris Grier's mouth, when it comes to Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg, they both are part of the plan. We'll give them opportunities to grow and compete here. So you're telling me you're giving them opportunities to grow and compete. Fine. Fantastic. You don't want to give up on your draft picks. I understand that. You don't want to look like an idiot. But there's teams out there that are recognizing, oh, we need offensive line help so our young quarterback or future young quarterback can thrive. Like, Brown just signed a contract with the Cincinnati Bengals to play left tackle. That's like 11, 12 million a year. Are you kidding me? It was like 3 million, 4 years, and like, let me pull it up because I read it and I was like, what? Like, you kidding me right now? 4 years, 64 million front loaded deal. 31 million signing bonus. So it's probably, it is what it is, but that's averaging around 11, 12 million a year. They front load it. They'll probably give him 20 million this year, and then it decreases. Okay, they realize that Joe Burrow needs to stay upright more. They go and get him. McGlinchey goes to Denver because they noticed that Russell Wilson was running for his life, even though he held the ball a whole lot. Juwan Taylor, the Kansas City Chiefs let Brown go. They need to get, and they get Juwan Taylor. And then McGarry sings with Atlanta because they're going to, like, these teams are realizing, oh, we need to help our quarterback. But then I'm sitting back and I'm like, Miami, you're banking on and you're hoping that Tua Tagovailoa can play a full season, yet you have done nothing about the offensive line. And I get we're going into day 2, but I'm just venting right now because I've seen it happen. I've seen them think they're smarter. Not them. Chris Grier thinks he's smarter than everyone else. I've seen it happen time and time and time and time again, that there's a glaring need on the offensive line, and they go out and they pick up, friggin' pull up PFF, and you're going to, some of the names of these offensive linemen or these tackles that, like, you just, they'll go out and they'll pick up George Fant, and they'll put him at right. They'll have him compete at right tackle with Austin Jackson. They'll go out and pick Trey Pipkins. They'll go out and pick up Andrew Wiley. They'll go out and bring back Billy Turner. All of these guys have horrible grades when it comes to their blocking. But you have guys like Cameron Fleming, who was 29th out of 81 tackles. That's not bad. Jermaine Umanora, who was 21st out of 81 tackles. That's not bad. Even Kelvin Beachum, 33rd out of 81 tackles. That's not as good as the other two I named, but that's not bad. They won't touch him with a 5-foot pole. Juwan Taylor was 65th out of 81, and he gets signed to the Kansas City Chiefs. McGarry, like I wanted, 4th out of 81 tackles, goes back. And I just worry, and it's the same thing with the running backs. Now, maybe they'll go out and draft one. Maybe they'll go do that. And again, I'm complaining. And if you disagree, you disagree. You have every right to. And maybe Chris Grier pulls something off. But I'm just sitting back and I'm like, do they think that the reason the offensive line did not do as well as they wanted it to? And people could say, oh, Doug, we had the 6th best offense last year. Can't really be much of the offensive line. It can when your run game was hot garbage. Your pass was, I'll pull that up. And we'll look at that. Your pass was the major reason. We were 4th in passing yards, 4th in passing touchdowns. We were 25th in rushing yards, 22nd in rushing touchdowns. So yes, we were the 6th best offense. Huge part to the passing. Our rushing was hot garbage. And that, to me, doesn't necessarily have to do with the running backs, even though I still would have not brought back Myles Gaskin and maybe gone after Kareem Hunt, go after Miles Sanders, maybe, somebody else, Jamal Williams, like I was saying, he got a nice contract. Shake it up a little. But all right, you're gonna run back with the 4 running backs. And I'm fine with, them drafting a tight end. They stick with the 3. They think that they can, trade up and get a tight end, or one of these good tight ends is going to fall to in the second. I'm fine with that. But it's, to me, the offensive line. And the fact that they're not, they don't think it's as much of a necessity and it's as much of a need that it warrants addressing in the beginning, worries me. And that's why I'm making a point to say something. Because this is something that should have been done, minimum day 2 of tampering, day 1 of free agency. You go out and you get yourself a right tackle. You make a move. And you don't rely on Austin Jackson. You don't rely on Austin Jackson. He has proven, 1, he can't stay healthy. And 2, he's not good. And I hope they're not thinking it's because of the coaching. Oh, Applebaum wasn't as good of a coach, so our offensive coordinator had to, because that's the reason they got rid of Applebaum. They've said it. They got rid of Applebaum because the offensive coordinator was too concerned with the offensive line. He wasn't taking on much of his roles of his offense coordinator position. So that's why they got rid of Applebaum. And they brought in somebody different. I hope they're not thinking, oh, we brought in, somebody who, blah, blah, blah. So we think that he can turn around Eichenberg and Austin Jackson. We think that he can turn. Hedge your bets, man. Hedge your bets. Hedge your bets. Don't put all of your chips on red 44 and think it's going to pay off. Hedge your bets. Take your money, spread it out. Put some on black, put some on red, put some on these numbers, the odds, even. Hedge your bets so you still come out productive. Don't take all your chips and put it on one person who has proven he's not good. Hey, Doug, well, why don't you say the same thing about Tua? Because he has proven he is good. That's the difference between Tua and Austin Jackson. Tua has proven he is good. Tua has put up numbers. Tua has put out performances to prove you can build around him and he can be a franchise quarterback. He just can't stay healthy. Austin Jackson has proven he's not good and he can't stay healthy. You see the difference? They need to address the offensive line. It is not something that we can use the $13.6 million after the draft and kind of scrape the bottom of the barrel for some, depth at tackle, and some of these guys who might get cut because they weren't good enough to make other rosters. So, and we can, how do you think that? Like, Tua Tagovailoa was ranked 34th in the NFL in time to throw. And that is not release time. That is time to throw. That is ball snapped in his hand. How much time does this man have to throw the ball? 34th ranked in the NFL. Yeah, Doug, but he was only sacked 20-something times. That's because he's got a quick release and he's got a good pocket presence. Look it up. These are facts. I'm not making anything up. These are literal facts. Look it up. And you're sitting back and have no urgency to address this. And you think bringing back the same offensive lineman will help with the depth as well. When the biggest problem with our offensive line last year was we had no depth. I am a proprietor and I am a big advocate that trenches win football games. You need a top offensive line and you need a top defensive line. Look at the teams that got to the Super Bowl. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes really did help. But look at these playoff teams and look at the Super Bowl teams and look at their lines. The Philadelphia Eagles had the best offense and defensive line in the NFL, and they had an easy road to the Super Bowl. I could have played quarterback for the Eagles and they would have made it to the Super Bowl. It just worries the heck out of me that they are just going to sit back and think Austin Jackson's going to take a turn. Liam Eichenberg's going to take a turn. And we'll add some depth. We'll draft a tackle in the 6th or 7th round. We're going to take a tight end in the 2nd round. will take a running back in the third round for the first time since 2016. They haven't taken a running back in the first 3 rounds since 2016. There's something with Chris Greer and running backs and offensive line. He thinks he knows better than everyone else. Literally everyone else is like, we need to help this offensive line. We're going out and get offensive linemen, and we want to get running backs. Chris Greer's like, I'm good with these guys. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. You proved me wrong last year, and you went out and you made a trade for Tyreek Hill, and you got Teron Armstead. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And I was proven wrong a little bit with Connor Williams. I will say that. I was very apprehensive and I was very nervous about taking Connor Williams and putting him at center. And then especially when I heard his snapping issues, I was even more worried. And that's where I was like, I was proven a little bit wrong because he did well at center, right? He was like a top-ranked center, but his snapping issues never really went away. But I was proven wrong that it did work. Prove me wrong that you are going to find an answer at right tackle, and that answer is not Austin Jackson. And prove me wrong, you are not going to run back the same offensive line you did last year. The 22nd ranked offensive line that has bottom tier pressure, hits, time to throw, and hurries. Prove me wrong. Because if you do, this team is not going anywhere. As much as we are excited about having Jalen Ramsey and Vic Fangio and how excited we are about people talking about the fact that we have a good defense now, that's going to mean nothing if we flip again. What do I mean by flip again? We had a horrible offense for under Brian Flores, but we had a decent defense, and it was decent. This offense under Mike McDaniel's first year being 6th ranked is nowhere near anything we've had in a very long time. But our defense under Flores was in the teens. Never broke top 10. If you're going to tell me right now that you're now focusing on the defense because you're seeing the prospect of Aaron Rodgers joining the division and you see how you have to get, and you're just defense, Vic Fangio, defense, and our offense was 6. Our offense was 6. There's no problem with our offense. We're going to run it back. It's going to flip. And we're going to have a top 10 defense, or we're going to have a bottom tier offense again. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And don't let some guy in a studio in New Jersey realize that there's a problem with the right tackle position, and you're just going to let it stay. Because then we need a run game. We need a run game. And if you're not going to fix the offensive line to make the run game work, and you're not going to go out and get a Derrick Henry or a Dalvin Cook who can run through people, you have to do one or the other. There's no, we're not going to do either, because then it's not going to work. You got to do one or the other. Prove me wrong. Hopefully today they make a move. Tomorrow they make a move. They do something, but prove me wrong. Hope you guys enjoy this. Hope you guys enjoy my spiel, my rant. If you agree, comment below. If you disagree, comment below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. And other than that, I'll see you probably later today. I'm hoping they make some moves today. And in moves, I don't mean re-signing players, because they did the same thing last year and drove me nuts. Other than that, guys, I'll see you guys later. But like usual, stay classy. My fans out.